Hello, I'm Petra Kidd and I'm going to read you a short story from my blog, petrakidd.com, called A Dish Best Served Cold. Tara Simpson looked over her shoulder at her husband. He was staring intently at the television screen, squinting at football results. "Cole will be here in 5, sweetie. I'm just nipping upstairs for my coat." Tara heard a slight grunt and she took this as adequate response. The coat lay on the bed next to her handbag. It was new. An impractical pale cream with silk cuffs and designer-logoed buttons. Her heart beat a little faster every time she looked at it. Wrapping it around her shoulders, Tara hugged herself with excitement. Nervous flickers quivered in her stomach. She took a deep breath to try to calm them, but it didn't work. Her fingers shakily checked inside the bag. It was all in there, neatly stored in a nice lilac file, next to keys, makeup and the new calfskin purse. Car keys. Quickly she slid a finger into a side pocket. Silly, she breathed to herself, of course they were still there. As she left the room, she paused to check her reflection. Flushed cheeks and shiny eyes, her heart felt fit to burst with anticipation. "Taxi's here," Jim's voice grunted up the stairs. Tara knew he was annoyed, fed up at missing the match, tired from working, cranky because of the restless nights he'd endured lately. "Yep, I'm here." They didn't talk much in the car. Tara wanted to concentrate on her plan, and Jim wanted to think about the bet he'd put on Rooney scoring the first goal. Eventually he asked, "So where is this place we're going to?" "Almerson's Country Hotel, Michelin-star restaurant, out near the golf course. Paula read me the reviews a few days ago, and I thought we deserved a treat." The driver glanced at them in the rearview mirror. "Pricey, mate. Hope you've got your gold card ready." "Actually, it's my treat," chirped Tara. Jim squirmed a bit in his seat. Something was going on. The last time Tara had taken him out for a meal, it was to tell him her dad would be staying with them for a week. He didn't want to ask about it now. The miserable bloody news could wait until he'd had a couple of drinks. Eventually, they drew up at a large pink-painted building lit with lanterns and semi-covered in wisteria. The windows glowed with candlelight, and through the glass, waiters wearing white jackets could be seen gliding between tables. Jim groaned inwardly. How much was this wretched place going to cost? The evening stretched before him, long, boring and pretentious. He glanced at Tara, enveloped in cream, dark hair falling in large curls around her oval face. She did look gorgeous, he admitted to himself, but not to her. Tara leapt out of the car and paid the driver. Something had to be going on. She seemed hyped up and excited. Jim prayed she wasn't pregnant. 5 years of marriage and no kids. This suited him well. His thoughts switched back to Rooney. Decent return if he got his act together in school within the first 15 minutes. A waiter clutching huge white napkins settled them down at a table near the centre of the restaurant. Tara glanced around, hoping there wasn't anyone she knew. No, none of the faces were recognisable. She sighed with relief. Jim narrowed his eyes. "What's up with you then? What's all this about?" "Let's get a drink." Tara signalled to the waiter, ordered a bottle of champagne and grinned at Jim. "Nice to be out for a change, and it isn't the pub." Jim couldn't agree. He'd much rather be in the pub. "Well?" He sat back in his chair and quickly decided it was uncomfortable, so leaned forward on the table, knocking a small flower arrangement to one side with his elbow. "Poxy thing," he thought. "Out with it." Tara didn't feel ready to talk about what they were there for. Not just yet. The waiter arrived with champagne. "Dom Perignon, imagine. Costs a fortune, but it's worth it. We had it at Cheryl Merriweather's when she got engaged to Nigel. He owns half of Suffolk, so we decided he could afford it." Tara took a long sip as she noted Jim's expression darken. "So you having off with him or something, thinking you can afford it too?" Tara laughed a little too loudly. "Oh, Jim, you are funny. He's got a honking great nose and a pigeon chest. I wouldn't go near him for all the tea in China. And he laughs like this. Wah, wah, wah. It's awful. Cheryl isn't bothered though, or she doesn't appear to be. She's hired a personal trainer, and to be honest, I think he's the one in charge of marital duties." She giggled. Just as Jim was about to ask again what was going on, the waiter arrived to take their order. As Tara fussed over sauces and the restaurant decor, and mused over who the other diners might be, it wasn't until dessert that he got the opportunity to pursue the reason for this extravagant night out. "Just got to visit the loo?" Tara felt a bit sick now. She'd have to get the file out after she'd had a chance to calm down in the toilets. One glass of champagne hadn't been enough to calm her nerves, but she couldn't have any more. The whole situation felt like a strange dream. Her head swam, her thoughts ran into each other, and her breathing was all over the place. Sitting on a toilet with the seat down, she held her hot forehead in upturned clammy palms. It's going to be all right, she told herself, and started to rehearse the words over again. She returned to their table, the torrent of emotion well concealed under a super cool exterior. Well, Jim, now I can tell you why we are here. Her eyes met his with cool determination. Tara reached into her bag and withdrew the lilac folder. Jim clasped his hands together tightly, as he always did when expecting something that would irritate or infuriate him. Seeing the folder, his first thought was property. She wants to move again, he thought. Oh, God, how many times had they been through this one? Not another bloody barn conversion in the middle of flaming nowhere. Even Rooney scoring that goal wouldn't help with that. Worse still, perhaps she'd found some stupid nail salon to slap up, or tanning shop. Would she never let it rest? He earned the money, he called the shots, and that's how it was and would always be. This women's lib got worse and worse, and he wasn't having it in his marriage. He'd have to be gentle, of course, otherwise it would be tears all the way home in the taxi. Come on then, darling, show me. Jim tried to keep his voice soft and encouraging, but it emerged in a whiny whinge. Taking a deep breath, Tara pulled open the file and pulled an A5 piece and pushed an A5 piece of paper towards him. Jim picked it up at one corner. It was a photograph. He braced himself for the barn conversion, but the image wasn't of the building. It was of two figures entwined in a car, faces stuck to each other, at the mouth. He narrowed his eyes. The car was dark blue with a VW badge, his car. And this is, he started to say, but the words left him in a whisper. Here's another one. Tara pushed another piece of glossy photo paper into his hand. The picture showed the same couple, arms tightly wrapped around one another's torsos, white blonde hair trailing down the girl's black back. And here's the report. Tara pushed the third and final piece of paper at him. Her name is Jade, 28 years old, some slapper you picked up in a nightclub. I'm being stupid, you already know that. Tara snorted with laughter and enjoyed watching her husband's expression collapse into panic, the panic of being caught, banged to rights. The private investigator did a good job. I've got times, dates, places, the whole lot, I can prove it all. His expression right now was her reward for patient hours spent waiting by the phone for progress reports, lonely nights while he'd been away working, being made to feel like a fool every time she questioned him. I don't understand. Really, darling, you don't? No, I mean, his expression had become glazed. His eyes barely focused as they cruised unseeingly around the restaurant. It didn't make sense. She could have served all this up at home, thrown things at him, cursed, kicked and screamed. Isn't that what women were supposed to do in this situation? I mean, I don't know what to say. And very truthfully, at this precise moment, he didn't. Oh, it doesn't matter, Jim, really it doesn't. Tara shuffled the pictures and report back into her bag. She tried to stop herself smiling, but she couldn't. Look, I'm off now. Jim watched in a kind of stupefied awe as she called for her coat, let the waiter help her into it, and moved swiftly towards the door. In the car park, Tara quickly sought out the Porsche cabriolet she'd delivered to the restaurant that morning, pearly white with a black hood. She confirmed the number plate, Tara 5. Swiftly she whisked keys from the side pocket of her bag and pressed the button. The headlights shone, the doors clicked open, and within moments Tara had switched on the ignition and roared off into the darkness, laughing loudly to herself. Back at home the locksmith waited. She spotted his van in the driveway as she rounded the last bend. Sighing with relief, she parked the Porsche beside his vehicle and hurried inside. Have you got much left to do? He grinned. No, love, just finishing off. Think I've broken a new world record here tonight, the speediest lock changes ever. Once she'd paid the locksmith and seen him on his way, she lifted the phone receiver and dialed, her fingers trembling. It's done. I can't believe my own patience, and I was so cool. She squealed into the receiver. A whole week. My lucky numbers. all that money, made for life, caught him bang to rights. He doesn't know about the win. Yes, 7 million, and I won't be sharing it with him, not now. I've got a lawyer on it already. Luckily, we had a prenup. Locksmith just left. Yes, I'm all right, darling. He won't be. Back at the restaurant, Jim was wishing he'd remembered to take his wallet. If you want to read more of my stories, including The Eight of Swords and The Putsie, which are available as ebooks at Amazon and Smashwords, go to my blog, petrikid.com. It's all there. Thanks for listening. Bye.